All right, so you have heard the debate back and forth. We have covered this since early last year as the Fix the Charter movement kind of got revved up, and we ended up with a vote last fall. That vote put into play a new form of government here in Acadiana, Lafayette Parish and Lafayette City. Really, the most affected here, even though a bunch of the surrounding parishes say they will feel some sort of an impact on this as well. There have been challenges and opinions and meetings with the Secretary of State's office. And joining us on the phone, just another sort of layer of what we've been talking about, Angelique Friel from the Attorney General's office joins us on the phone. Good morning, Angelique. Thanks for making some time for us.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting us.
Okay, so I just kind of want to get to the bottom of a lot of this. We know that early in the week, we had a request or a letter sent to the Attorney General's office from State Senator Bob Hinskins out of Abbeville asking for an opinion about how to handle these district changes and these precinct changes from the Attorney General. The Attorney General's opinion came back saying it would need an election and it couldn't be fixed with an ordinance. However, we know that the Attorney General's opinion is non-binding. The council moved forward, approved the ordinance, and made the change that way. That's not the end of the story. Tell us what has happened since then.
Well, I just want to clarify for all the listeners out there, there's been some criticism over the fact that the AG released the opinion within a day of receiving the request. But just to clarify, this was not a rush to judgment. And in fact, we had meetings with representatives of the Lafayette Council and the Secretary of State for months now. There was a meeting in February of 2019 where the problems with the charter were discussed, and council representatives discussed requesting an AG opinion before acting on any solution. Another option that was mentioned at that time was go ahead and just have the charter amended at the next election. And at that time, May 9th was available. That's no longer the case. But we had an assistant attorney general after that meeting that specialized in that area go back to our office and begin researching the matter. And so we had researched the issue well by the time we received the request.
So, yeah, that is one of the things I was hoping to get clarification on, because I think there is a thought that you can't even start background work on this until the request comes through. But it was pretty clear to me, and I cover a lot of what you guys do, it was pretty clear to me that obviously there had already been some formulations of opinions and legal research to turn that opinion around so fast.
Oh, absolutely. And we often receive requests with regard to home rule charters. And so this is an area that we're familiar with. We knew that this was coming. We knew that there were problems in Lafayette. And we warned the council members at this meeting back in February. And it was suggested the cleanest way was just go ahead and have an election and fix this problem.
But you aren't disputing the fact that your opinion, and the opinion of the Attorney General is non-binding. So it is still up to the council to make a decision, correct?
Well, the issue with Attorney General opinions is one of the main reasons that we issue them is to deter and prevent litigation. What's happening here is that the Lafayette Council is under a black cloud. If they don't go ahead and fix this and do this the right way, they're advocating for disenfranchisement and violations of the Voting Rights Act. They're making them susceptible to challenges. And if an individual citizen doesn't bring the challenge, you have the U.S. DOJ that could bring the challenge. And let me tell you, from experience, when we have to litigate Voting Rights Act challenges, they're one of the most expensive and complex to defend. One of the unusual things here that we see with the charter is that the actual districts were in the charter. That is very unusual. No one usually in their right mind would contain the actual districts in the charter. Usually that isn't an ordinance, but because of that, that's why they need to amend the charter with a vote of the people. It's basic civics that we learn in high school. Your charter is like the Constitution for Lafayette citizens, and you can't have council members go and amend that charter without a vote of the people. And so it's really unfortunate that that this has occurred, but it's just a mistake that has to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed with a vote of the people. And we have a constitutional article. The Louisiana Constitution has an article. It speaks very specific to this issue, that if you are going to amend a charter, it has to be done by a vote of the people.
Okay, so I want to dive into that just a little bit more because, we have had folks from both sides of this. Obviously, folks are very passionate about it in this area, whether you are for or against. And a lot of times the against is not no, never. It's let's wait for a little while. But I want to go back to the point about the charter, because when we brought that, side of it to the Fix the Charter folks, then the response from them is that we have changed districts in this parish by ordinance for years. Have we been doing that wrong all this time?
If in the charter the specific districts and the precincts are listed, the only way to fix it is through an amendment. If the charter language would have just said something general, like districts are to be established by the council, and didn't contain the actual districts, that would be different. You could go and do it by an ordinance. That's what's commonplace. That's what happens most of the time. The problem here is the defect in the charter language that includes the actual districts and the precincts. It's highly unusual.
So if we did have the precincts and the districts listed in the charter, which has been in effect, the consolidation home rule charter, when consolidation took effect back in 1996, then we've been doing it incorrectly this whole time. That's what you're saying.
Yes, and look, it's not us saying it. It's the Louisiana Constitution, Article 6, Section 5C. It says the people should vote on charter amendment, and it's designed to protect the people from having city council being able to change what is essentially their constitution, their charter.
Okay,
and so
let me just ask you then. So why hasn't there been a legal challenge so far then?
Well, you're going to have to ask the people. They may not have known about the issue. We're not looking to sue. We're looking to prevent litigation. We're just telling you what you're susceptible to in terms of the problems with the charter. If that has occurred and no one has challenged it, then that's fortunate for the city council up until this point. But there are concerns prospectively that you have to be aware of, and the fact that this has been all in the media and people are already threatening to sue are things that the council is going to have to take into consideration. They have been warned that there is a legal impediment, and it could easily be resolved through an election. And it was recommended that they go ahead and just have the election in May and fix it.
Is there a pending lawsuit in this case, or do you know of one coming?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. So your work in the civil division is really just to close up any risks, any vulnerabilities to this sort of thing, and that's the position that the Attorney General's office has taken to prevent, or at least button things up to protect the new government from future lawsuits.
Correct. We have issued a warning. We just want them to be aware that they're vulnerable to lawsuit. And, it's always our hope that by issuing an AG opinion, we're providing a service free of charge. We're avoiding litigation, something that they don't have to get their own attorneys involved with. We are available to look at these legal issues for them.
Okay. Very interesting. Angelique Friel from the Attorney General's office. You are the director of the Civil Division. I don't think it's the end of this story. I don't think anyone wants frivolous lawsuits, but if one popped up in my email box 4 minutes from now, I would not be surprised. I can say that. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much for hearing from us today and inviting us on the show.
Absolutely. All right, it's 8:20 now at News Talk 96.5 KPEL. Lots of emotions on both sides of this. But the one takeaway that I do have at this point is what she had to say regarding the charter, and if districts are listed in the charter. I don't have it sitting in front of me right now. I'll have to ask some of the legal hawks if the districts were listed in the current home rule charter, the one that has been in effect since 1996, or even before that. Because what it sounds like is if the districts were listed in there, and we did make changes over all these years to district lines, without changing the actual charter, making an amendment to the charter, then we might not have been doing things right for quite a while. We will dig into that. We have the best minds around here. Brandon Como is already combing through some of the documents. We're going to look for that and also ask more questions as well. Thanks for being involved. The sad part would be if no one was involved and no questions were being asked. But trust me, the questions are being asked, and we'll see where we move forward from here.